So you know there are many different sorts of patience which we've mentioned. Patience against physical hardship, patience against physical pain, patience against mental upset, especially conflict of personalities, for example, patience against temptation, so not to be taken in by things which tempt you, and last but not least, patience in the face of criticism. No one likes to hear criticism, but if you're patient enough to listen to people who are kind enough to point out your faults, then that is a very good shortcut to improvement as well. So the next pair we come to is the pair of truthfulness and also resolution, what's known as Satcha Parami and Adhitthana Parami. Truthfulness is more than merely telling the truth, but it is also being sincere in everything which you do. So, for example, if you are going to be someone's friend and you have the perfection of truthfulness, then you would be their friend whether they find themselves in good times or in bad times. If you are truthful, then you would always do your work to the best of your ability. If you are truthful, then you would be on time. If you are truthful, then if you make a promise, then you keep it, for example. So truthfulness can apply to many aspects of our life apart from merely our words or the things we say. It means that you don't waver from what you have set yourself. But it also means that you have to be realistic about the targets which you set yourself. Because if you know you're going to have to keep your word, then you shouldn't promise things which you cannot guarantee. So it means that you must have an accurate idea about what your own powers or potential are. If you set the target for yourself to meditate 4 hours a day, then you have to know that it's realistic so that you don't let yourself down. So a lot about truthfulness in terms of the perfections is to know your own strength so that you don't let yourself down. When the Bodhisattva was talking about truthfulness, he mentioned the metaphor of the morning star, which never deviates from its orbit. Every morning, the morning star will come up in the sky in the same place. So much so that you can even set your compass by it if you are a traveler. As for the perfection of resolution, adhitthana, normally we think of this as merely making a wish. Our teacher talks about it as setting the boundaries for how we would like the merit in our lives to help us in the future. So we know that if we do meritorious deeds, but we are not clear about how we would like that merit to help us, then sometimes it can come out in ways which we don't particularly need or want. So, for example, the person who wants to follow Kunyai in every lifetime may end up as a chicken who's running along after her tricycle. instead of following her to pursue perfections in every lifetime. So whatever boundaries you set for yourself, then it may not be, you have to be thorough in your thinking. So making a wish alone is not good enough, you have to make the merits too. But to have a clear idea of what you're aiming for, this is what we call adhitthana paramita. And the purpose is that we don't backslide. If we make a wish often enough, then we tend to make the extra effort to make sure we reach the goal which we set for ourselves. It's a way of ensuring that we don't backslide. This is especially important for someone who wants to go on to be a Buddha, because there are so many other choices which fall short of Buddhahood. For example, if the Buddha became lazy part of the way through the time when he was the Bodhisattva, maybe he would settle just to be a Pacceka Buddha. You know what a Pacceka Buddha is? Yeah, sometimes they're known as a silent Buddha. They have the same level of enlightenment as a Buddha, but they don't have the ability to teach other people. So for a Pacceka Buddha to arise in the world is great, but no one else can learn anything from them. But their presence is good for the world, but they don't have the ability to answer others' questions and so on. If he had lowered his sights further still, then maybe he would just settle for being one of the leading disciples of a Buddha who was someone else, someone like Sariputta or Moggallana. If he had lowered his sights yet further, maybe just to be an arahant, to be an enlightened one. It's good enough, you still get to break free of rebirth. Or lower than that, maybe a stream enterer or something like that. So to keep up his goal, he needed this perfection of resolution. And this is why it said that for every good deed which you do, you should always make a resolution to. At the very least, the resolution that you would be able to break free of all defilements, become pure in body, speech and mind. The Bodhisattva made the metaphor for the cultivation of resolution, that he would have resolve which was as steadfast as a mountain, which would not be shaken by the winds which blew from the four directions. The last pair we come to, number 8 and number 9 of the 10 perfections. Sorry, number 9 and number 10 of the 10 perfections. Again, you can see them as a pair. Number 9 is the perfection of loving kindness, metta barami. The Bodhisattva saw that if he had to go looking for disciples, then that would be again an obstacle to his doing the duty to spread wisdom to the world. So he thought that if he made himself endearing enough to others in the world, people would come looking for him. He would not have to go looking for them. And this would make his vocation in spreading wisdom to the world a lot easier. The perfection of loving kindness is something which he compared to that of the cooling waters of a river. Just as the river would give coolness to anyone who bathed in it, whether they were rich or poor, whatever caste they came from. In such a way, he would give solace to all who came to him without choosing who he gave his teachings to. He would offer the same love to all. In fact, loving kindness is often compared to the love of a mother for their child, because it's a love where a mother cannot bear to see her child suffering and would therefore do anything in her power to help her child to break free of suffering. In the same way, the Buddha would show his loving kindness to do anything necessary to relieve the people of the world from suffering, just as if all the people in the world were like the children to the Buddha. So this is where the expression comes from, that by embracing Buddhism, by working for Buddhism, it's like you become a mother or a father to everyone in the world, without any favoritism.